Okay, so today we're talking about the hyperbola. The hyperbola is our fourth conic, and it opens left and right or up and down. Sometimes it's good to hear things twice. Okay? If the x comes first, and this is what I forgot to mention to you guys a minute ago. If the x comes first, then it is positive. When the x is positive, our hyperbola is going to open left and right. When the y comes first, the y is positive, and so our hyperbola opens up and down.
That's crazy.
So x doesn't always come first. Okay? So we need to pay attention to that. Now, we've already mentioned that the center is just like the center of all of them, HK. We talked about our new vocabulary, transverse axis. That is the one that goes through our vertices. That's our transverse axis. And when it opens horizontally, that's 2A. Conjugate axis. That is our other axis. That's how far we go up and down. That would be 2B. We also talked about the foci. We said the foci are further out in this case. And when they're further out, we have to do a sum here. So, since I'm adding them and going left and right, my foci end up being H plus or minus C, K. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. These vertices, which are part of the graph of the hyperbola, can be found by doing H plus or minus what? A. Good. And then our asymptotes. So we just talked about this. So why did we need that conjugate axis? To create the box. And the asymptotes that our hyperbola follows are by extending the diagonals of that box. Now this is cool. Watch this. Every time the equation, the diagonal will go through the center, right?
Yes.
So it's going to have a y minus the y value at the center equals the slope times x minus the x value at the center. That's how that equation is going to start. So what we're missing is the slope. Slope is rise over run, isn't it?
Yes.
So let's do my rise over my run. What is this rise considered?
B.
B. What is this run considered?
A.
A. So every time my rise over run will be B over A.
Oh my gosh.
That gives me this asymptote. To get this one, isn't this just negative A?
Mm-hmm.
So it would be B over negative A. So those asymptotes every time end up being y minus k equals plus or minus b over a, x minus h. And that's what we would put here. Y minus k plus or minus b over a, x minus h. Okay, let's see if you can fill out the vertical ones. For a hyperbola that opens vertically, let's see if you can complete the notes there.
Let's get to work.
You try. You try.
Oh my gosh.
the asymptotes, why wouldn't you switch to K and H?
Well, the center is still HK. And it's always y minus the y value
Okay.
and x minus the x value. So the center doesn't change. And rise over run doesn't change. Rise over run is still
Oh, so
b
it's
over
not
a.
like it's not like Rebel where you make it like x equals
Right,
that.
right.
Yeah, I just like that.
It's just the lines.
That's what I was
And guys, let's just leave this line in point slope form. Some of you had your point slope on your last test correct, and then just moving things around, we had some addition and subtraction errors. So just leave it in point slope, I'm happy.
From now on, like everything?
A lot of times, yes.
Okay.
Okay, so here's this picture. We know that we have it opening left and right, and when we do, the x is positive. When it opens up and down, the y is positive. And this is how we're going to create the graph. So this looks really messy until we do one, and then it's not that bad. So let's take a look at our first example. So here we go. Okay, I'll go ahead and apologize for the graph. I would actually say don't even use it. Don't use the graph. Just sketch a graph up above. This graph is a big fat mess. Sorry.
How so?
Everything's off a little bit, which really kind of messes with it. It's just really messed everybody up all day long, so sorry about that. Okay, the center. The center is where?
0, 0.
0, 0, it certainly is. So I'm going to go over here and put the center right here at 0, 0. Now, is this one going to open up or down, left, up and down or left and right?
Left and right.
Left and right. And so my vertices are going to be left and right. How far? 5. Those are my vertices. 5 in either direction. So your graph is kind of a mess. It's hard to tell what's what. So my vertices are plus or minus 5, 0. And I got that because a squared was 25, so a would be 5. B squared is 36, so B is 6. Okay, let's go ahead and go up 6 and down 6. Now, what we do for a hyperbola every time is we create a little box around these points that we've just done. So if you had a straight edge, it would probably come in handy. If you don't, that's all right too. Just to the best of your ability, create a box. See through. There we go. All right. My box is a little large. There we go. And I'm going to switch colors on mine so we can see it a little better. Okay. So have you created a box? Now, through the diagonal, through here, we're going to put in our asymptotes. See if you can hit it better than I did. And then draw in the other asymptote. Missed it again. Now, the asymptotes are kind of like the guidelines for our hyperbola once we start to draw it. So I'm going to just draw mine with kind of highlighter here, and it's going to ride along my asymptote. Maybe you can do a better job than me. Right along the asymptotes. Oh, that one was terrible. It's not flat. It curves along the asymptote. I can't do it. I don't know. Good enough. All right, now let's look at C. For the hyperbolas, our focus has to be out here somewhere. It's further away. So we do the a squared plus the b squared. Well, 25 plus 36 is
61.
61, yes it is. So it would be square root of 61 in either direction. So it would be plus or minus square root of 61, 0. Yes, sir?
Those lines eventually, they go like away from the asymptotes, right? Just like
No, they follow along the asymptote forever.
Really?
No, no.
So like they're like almost diagonal, but not really.
Aren't they? Since they're curved.
They're curved at both ends.
Oh,
Yeah, but
They're
like,
all-
but then like they eventually
parallel.
like they just like continually follow the
Parallel.
asymptote.
Yep.
Okay.
So the asymptote is y minus the y value at the center. Rise over run. B over A. Plus or minus 6/5. X minus the x value at the center. So do we really need those zeros? No. We can say y equals plus or minus 6/5 x. That's my positive slope and the negative slope for the asymptotes. That's actually two different lines. Make sense? Okay. This is the last one we're actually going to do together today, is number 2. Now, let's take a look at this one. How will this open? Vertically or horizontally?
Vertically.
Vertically.
Boom.
Okay? Now, when it opens vertically, be careful, because stuff's backwards.
Oh.
So, where is my center?
1 negative 6.
1 negative 6. Good. I'm going to try to do it on the graph. It's ugly, though. Alright?
There's a lot.
Now,
missing.
my vertices are going to be up and down, aren't they? Yes, there's a line missing. I told you, the graph is messed up. And up and down, we go 7 units. So up 7 units would be here. Down 7 units is off the graph. So up 7 units would be the point 1, 1. Down 7 units would be the point 1, negative 13. Now, in order to aid our graphing, we take a look at the conjugate axis. And it would be formed by going 5 units in either direction. And I think this is where my problem is. So 5 units this way, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 units that way. And then, to the best of our ability, we create that box. And the box is only there to help us draw in the diagonals. And then we draw in those diagonals. Alright, and this one's going to open up and down. So I'm going to go to the highlighter and try to do a better job this time. Oh, that's not bad. Following kind of along the asymptotes.
Looks like
Okay, add these up, and we get the square root of 74, and that would be up here and down here, so we're going to add those to our y. So it's going to be plus or minus the square root of 74. And then the asymptote is y minus the y value, which makes a positive 6. Rise over run, 7/5, plus or minus 7/5. X minus the x value. And there's our asymptotes. Okay, that's all you have to do on this sheet. We're going to finish this sheet with warm-ups over the next couple of days. The next sheet, it's a big sheet, but it doesn't have that many problems. What if they're not in the right form, like number 3? What do you have to do? You have to get them in the right form, and sometimes you have to complete the square to do that. Now, be careful when you complete the square, because you're going to have to factor out a negative to complete the square on hyperbolas. So watch out for factoring out the negative when you complete the square.
This is homework.
This last sheet I'm giving you is the homework.
Maybe kept it.